Hello and welcome to another Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Hope you're all having a bit better week and you're managing to deal with the water. We've had another 26 millimetres of rain this week, which is just over an inch of rain, which took our October totals to about 165 millimetres. So huge amount. I think our long-term average for October is about 60. So we are at least 100 millimetres, 4 inches of rain over our average. Anyway, if you remember the last update, I was on the way on to Hexham and I was talking at a conference there. That went well. I had a lot of trains to catch coming back to get to an NFU meeting, which I made. You'll see that at the start of this update, and a few snippets from Tom Bradshaw, who is our guest at the NFU AGM, and he's the Deputy President of the NFU. Useful things talking. Tom was about the sugar beet contract, about Red Tractor, about TB, and one or two things like that, which I've got some snippets from. Also in this update, we're looking at the farm pond that we're enlarging and the progress of that. That's coming on well. And I also go back to visit my godson Henry and the flood he's got across at Short Ferry, just east of Lincoln, because they've got some pumps working in there. That's the EA have put some pumps in. That's the Environment Agency. And also we're loading out rape this week. We've had quite a lot of lorries of rape leave the farm, which is good. And then also I attended a meeting only yesterday, which was Friday, with the Environment Agency and then a load of other farmers in Horncastle and Victoria Atkins, the MP. So that was good. We've got some snippets from that as well, and a sum up from me, because we weren't allowed to record at that meeting. They didn't want any recording going on, so the Environment Agency could be a bit more open, apparently. Anyway, that's it from me. Let's crack on with this update, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the end.
This conference in attendance. It's a privilege to now be part of the organising committee, even though they opted me vice chair in absence, so that's a lesson in itself.
Just on the train now, coming back from Hexham, and nice crop of oil through the rape there. Well, that's it, just got off at Newark, just now heading to Woodhall Spa to our NFU County AGM. Got to get there for 7 o'clock, which I'm already going to be 10 minutes late, but I couldn't get an earlier train, so we'll see how we get on. So we've now got a few things from Tom Bradshaw at our county NFU AGM. The first bit he's talking about is a sugar beet contract, and this is really important. So please, if you're a sugar beet grower, please watch this.
I understand that today all sugar beet growers have had an email from British Sugar. That contract has not been agreed by your negotiating team, and I think there's been a very clear clarification that's gone out from Michael Sly. And like I said in the previous bit, strength and unity. If British Sugar think they can break the membership and pick people off individually, they will win this. Our sugar team are taking legal advice about the next steps to take, and they will be in touch with you again by the end of the week. But I would just urge you all to think seriously whether you want to sign anything that's been presented to you by British Sugar, because it's not the agreed contract. The only way of finding the market price is through the negotiation because of the monopoly situation. That's why the NFU Sugar Board exists. And I really think there is strength in everyone sticking together on this and pushing for a price which you deserve.
It's really, really important that if you are a farmer growing sugar beet, even if you're not an NFU member, please don't sign the British Sugar contract that they sent out at the end of last week. Last year we were paid £40 per tonne. British Sugar have offered us £38 a tonne for this coming crop. The NFU have been really negotiating hard for us, and there's a stalemate and there's lots of things going on in the background. The problem we've had is that about 3 or 4 years ago, we all lost a serious amount of money from growing sugar beet because of frost, virus yellows and various other things. And virus yellows is a disease brought in by aphids, by greenfly. And we've had a lot of lean years growing sugar beet. And at the minute, the world price for sugar is over £60 per tonne. And so you can see why at £38 per tonne from British Sugar, we need to be refusing that. We've got a lot of costs with growing the crop. There's a lot of issues with the weather we're having at the moment, damaging the soil, getting it out the ground. So sugar beet is really a unique crop, and this is why we need a lot more than British Sugar offering us. So if you're a sugar beet grower, and even if you're not an NFU member, please do not sign this contract. We need to have more money from British Sugar, and it needs to be negotiated with NFU, which they're doing really well at the moment, but they're on a stalemate. So please do not sign that contract from British Sugar. Oh, and one other thing, we cannot sell our sugar beet to anybody else. British Sugar is the only company that we deal with when in the UK for growing sugar beet. So this is why it's important that we get the right price from them. Anyway, now Tom is talking about Red Tractor and the assurance and auditing scheme that has been such hot topic. So yeah, interesting things here from Tom.
Farm assurance was also always about food safety, traceability, and animal welfare became much more part of that. If that's what we want farm assurance to deliver, then we limit it to that. But the review you will have an opportunity to feed in at the start of the strategic review and at the end of the strategic review, and your views will be heard, will be listened to. And I'd urge everyone to take part in that so that we can shape this as to how the industry wants it for the future. You know, we just need to think very sensibly, very rationally, but it needs to be quite radical as to what farm assurance can do for the future and how it can work for you as members, as farmers.
So there you have it from Tom regarding Red Tractor. You can see there's a lot going on with this. It's a really important subject because at the minute the Red Tractor scheme is not fit for purpose, and if we can get involved with it, we will need to do so. Please, where you have a chance to do that, give your opinion and help in this review, then we need to do that because it really needs massive changes at the minute. Anyway, that's it on the Red Tractor thing. And then the next thing Tom's looking at now is the floods and his reaction to the massive amount of area we have underwater in Lincolnshire.
And looking at the cereal crops this week as I drove across Lincolnshire, you know, there's obviously going to be quite a lot of poor crops, and the financial impact that this is going to have right the way across the country, but today focusing here on Lincolnshire, is going to be pretty dramatic, unfortunately. And you know, when that comes at a time when BPS is being removed, you know, it's a real challenge for government. And there used to be a disaster relief fund that when we were in the EU, they modulated the money, and if there was disasters, then there was sometimes available compensation. We have nothing like that anymore with the ELM scheme which has been put in place. And Therese Coffey did her interview last Tuesday morning. I was here on Tuesday afternoon, and she categorically stated there would be no support available. Now, where there's failings of the Environment Agency, that is simply not acceptable. Where they've chosen to use land as flood relief when there's no flood relief scheme in place, that is absolutely not acceptable. And where there's a lack of maintenance on those watercourses, we've got to seriously question whether there is any liability there as well. So I hope some of you will have seen, we published an open letter yesterday to all political parties. Getting to this stage is decades of failure, to be honest with you. I can't point to one political party which has caused this, but it's so bad now that we need a political solution. And we've decided ahead of the next election that we'll try and turn this into a political discussion. So we want members to sign this open letter, which will be going out to all political parties, looking for, first of all, a commitment to proactive watercourse management. And that's two things. It's dredging where dredging is required, but there's also the ability to lower those water levels before those storm events come. Now, at the moment, apparently, there's legislation which stops them doing that. This needs sorting. It's been going on too long, and the impact it's having, over 50% of our best farmland is situated on the floodplain. The IDBs do a fantastic job, but if the main watercourses aren't maintained, then they will not be able to do the job that they need to do because the water simply will not be able to get away.
So you just heard Tom mention a letter that needs signing. The link to that letter is in the email description here. So please do sign it. You don't have to be a farmer. You don't have to be an NFU member to sign it. It's really, really important we get as many signatures as possible on this letter so it goes to government, because we need some serious action on this water management. And please, those of you who have got friends that don't watch this update and don't watch this channel, please forward this link onto them for them to sign as well. We want lots of people to sign it. Anyway, the last bit from Tom is about TB, that's tuberculosis, and the effect that the badgers culling has on TB in cattle.
But TB has become terribly politicised, and it's a real shame. For the first time, we've got clear evidence that in any areas of the country where we're 4 years or further into the wildlife control programme, we now see TB rates falling by 56%. That evidence is absolutely categoric, but we now have a political party standing for election with a good chance of being elected at the moment. If you read the polls, they're telling us they will end the wildlife control.
So we're now moving the soil away. We're going to put it on a concrete beet pad, or one that hasn't got planings on, and then when it's dried out next summer after harvest, we will spread it out on the field as topsoil. It's very wet at the minute though. Hello, Nala. So this is the outline through here. And then we'll dig all that up between where Barry's working now and the tractor, and take it nearer to the fence there. Very wet round here at the minute, as you can see. I've just come back to the floods near Lincoln at Short Ferry, where Godson Henry is, and oh crikey, the river's dropped a lot. It's dropped probably about 1 metre, so I'll just show you here, because the EA have now got some big pumps running here. So I'm just walking over the bridge. You can see from the riverbank there how much it's dropped. This is just a clip from the other day. Now you can see a big difference. Over this side as well. See all the pumps they've got lined up here. There's definitely more water across that road though than what there was. Going down there into the water, and then it's pumping it up and into the river. Apologise for the wind. Still a huge area underwater here. It's Friday morning, busy day today, loading lorries with oilseed rape. We had 3 stay in the yard overnight, got 1 there. Morning! Need to get this shed empty fairly quickly. It'd be good if we could get it all cleaned out. So that one's just heading round to the weighbridge to be sampled and weighed, and this one's coming in. Ruben's just going to, I think, clearing the corners out. It's always awkward for a start because these, you've got to go the other way on. We've got, I think there's about 1,400 tonnes in, just under 1,400 tonnes in here. Those of you wondering what this is just, these are the pods and the sort of debris from harvest, and this is what, if I can find one of the pods, that's what the seed's grown in. There we are, the bottom of my hand, That's the bottom of a pod, but all this is what's around the stem, what the combine brings into the tank. Sometimes some samples are worse than others on the combine, depends how the combine operators set it up, but this is all allowed for. When it comes into store here, we sample it, and it's called admix, and we give it as a certain percentage so that ADM know what the farmers' quality is and what to pay them. But when it goes into the crush, it's all just taken out, and then that's the raw seed. Not many bucketfuls left of this lorry. Extending the ponds coming on. The trailer we got in the summer's coming handy. You can see on the edge there, Barry's just left a little bit there dammed up. We don't want the water from here to go into this new area yet, because there's quite a lot of fish in here. So this is the pond from this angle. All these trees here are all self-set. Can't really believe the size of them. Anyway, it's quite deep just in there, but we've just got to see whether we shape this bank a bit more. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but you can see where Barry's working now through there. And then around the other side, around here, you can see through here. That's the office just through there. So it's a nice spot for wildlife here. We've got feeders, can't quite see them unless I can just highlight them. We've got a feeder there, and we've got a bigger feeder just there. Yeah, it's a lovely spot just here. There's a boat here that hasn't been used for a while, it's half full of water. But yeah, it'd be nice when this pond gets extended right round there in front of the house. I'm in Horncastle now, into the East Lindsey District Council building, and we are going into a meeting with the Environment Agency. So that'll be really good to find out what their thoughts and plans are, and what they have to say about flooding the land and damaging the food supply. That's really what they're doing. So you can see a lot of farmers coming in here. So it should be an interesting meeting.
Ask everyone, as I know you will, to be short and constructive in your comments. This is not the COVID inquiry. Please don't comment.
So I've just come out of the meeting with the Environment Agency. Quite a lot was said. It was only lasted an hour. I've got quite a few notes here I'm just going to read from. Apparently the EA, the Environment Agency, have 2,000 kilometres of raised riverbanks in Lincolnshire. And of those banks, there were 7 of them had breaches where the water topped over. And apparently it will cost them £50 million to recover from this. That is in just Lincolnshire alone. I was going to ask a few questions, but I didn't get a chance. But where that £50 million is going to come from, I don't know. And normally, every year, they spend £17 million on maintenance, which that's a huge amount of money. I'd love to see how that £17 million is allocated. The property and homes take priority, apparently. Well, we know that. But this is an interesting statistic. For every pound spent, the EA receive 46 pence from the government towards if they're helping houses or protect houses, but they only receive 5p in the pound if they're protecting farmland. So I think that just shows the value or what their priorities are, which, yes, you could say that farmland's not as important, but it produces food. Somebody actually said, a really interesting figure here, or quote, a farm is a factory without a roof. So I think that's a really interesting comment. And we had 2 months rain in one day on October the 20th. And another interesting thing, a third of Lincolnshire is below sea level. I knew it was a fair bit, but I didn't realise it was as much as that. But of course, also worth remembering is that Lincolnshire provides 27% of the vegetables for the whole of the country. And it's a lot of that area that's below sea level. So that's just a statistic worth remembering when you get a lot of people saying, oh, it's a floodplain, you need to let it flood. We're not letting a third of Lincolnshire flood, I can assure you. And then since the rain on October the 20th, the IDBs have used an extra £100,000 of electricity to power the pumps, so they're going to have to find that money. So, and the IDBs, by the way, stands for Internal Drainage Boards. Now, just looking at internal drainage boards, they are there's lots of them around Lincolnshire, lots of different groups of them, but they are still answerable to the Environment Agency, and this is a lot of the problem that we've got. One of the questions I was going to ask was, I was going to say regarding all your allocation of funds, it's really, I'd love to see how it is allocated, because when we supply so much of the vegetables for the country, the Environment Agency are actually affecting food supply. Wildlife, there's a huge amount of wildlife has been drowned in this, which needs taken into account. And also regarding the banks, I was saying that about the amount of banks that need repairing. If that £50 million that they're now going to have to find, I'm not sure where that comes from the government, but where it comes from. When water flows and flows better, there isn't so much pressure put on the banks as when water is stationary or nearly stationary. And if a lot of these rivers had been cleaned out and a lot of these rivers had been desilted, they wouldn't have had so much overtopping and so much damage to repair in the banks. And another thing worth pointing out is that I did see an advert a bit ago they're wanting some what they call enforcement officers. I'm talking about a year ago, and the EA were actually advertising for more enforcement officers, and these were to do farm inspections to see if we're abiding by the law and regulations and prosecute us if not, which again I think is just ludicrous that all they're trying to do is find fault with farms and prosecute. So that money for those enforcement officers surely could go towards alleviating the floods. And lastly, in 2019, when we last had big floods in Lincolnshire, we were told that there'll be big changes, and one of the biggest changes was communication, because there is no communication between the Environment Agency and farmers or anybody really. But I'm afraid that still hasn't happened, because there is still no communication. So it's a good job that Victoria Atkin, the MP, got this meeting together, and Rhonda managed to get it all organised. So that's great. Anyway, we'll keep you abreast of what's happening and keep you up to date with it. And but the water is going down at the minute in quite a few areas, which is good to see. So that's it for another Sunday's edition of Wardy's Waffle. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to sign that letter that Tom Bradshaw mentioned earlier on in this update. The link to the letter is in the description of this video. Please do sign it. Farmers, non-farmers, members of the public, really, really important we get as many signatures as possible to that. Anyway, hope those of you who are flooded in waters going down and you're getting on top of things. It really is a sad state of affairs. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you midweek.